Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Well, hello all, and this is something a little different. Bradmaster 13, if you've never seen or know who Bradmaster 13 is, check out the link. I'm going to include the link because I don't know when he's going to be able to accept this as a response, as this is a response to one of his videos. But I asked him a while ago, he does old school pay-per-view reviews. Bradmaster 13 is 14 years old, and he's a guy that myself and some other guys on here really enjoy because he gives a different perspective due to his age. And he does these reviews, and so myself, and also I found out later, Calvin A. Hobbs wanted him to do a review of Barely Legal, the very first ECW pay-per-view, which both me and Calvin A. Hobbs have a big love for. It's a very emotional pay-per-view for both of us. It was the first ECW pay-per-view, and anyone that saw it back in the day has a very very personal connection to it. This isn't the best ECW pay-per-view that by technicality, though it's usually people's favorite because there are probably better pay-per-views, but this is special. This is special in ways that it's very, very hard to explain if you weren't there. This was the first live ECW event I ever got to see. I usually had to wait 2-3 months before I could ever see events. I didn't have access to the TV show, so basically I just got the major events on tape through our video. As many others who gave Rov Van Dam lots and lots of money, more money than he probably ever deserved, to be completely honest, for ECW tapes. This was the first chance we got, and it wasn't even on all the pay-per-view outlets, so I felt very, I felt very kind of excited that I was actually going to see this, and a lot of people weren't, and I was finally going to be able to see a lot of this live, and I was going to be able to witness in some way this live, because no matter what, a live event, even on pay-per-view, is something very different from when you see it taped. So, these are my thoughts. I would say go check out Bradmaster 13 because he definitely has a different perspective because he's a younger fan. And these are my thoughts on this. I'm not sure which version that he saw, but the version, if you're going to check this out, the version I would recommend seeing, and I've said this over and over and over again, is check out, there's two versions you can get. You can get the Pioneer version, which is not as good. It's edited even more so than the WWE version, which came with One Night Stand 2. That's the version I'd recommend everyone checking out. That has a more complete version of the pay-per-view. It's still edited. The music's still edited for copyright reasons, and Joey Styles went back over it and redid some of the commentary. But this is, if you can get both, I'd say get both just to kind of see the differences, but I would definitely recommend the WWE version over the Pioneer version myself. That said, let's get on with the review. I've spent about 2 minutes now just griping about the review. Okay, we started the night out with, as would become customary, Joey Styles in the middle of the ring welcoming us in the ECW arena. This was the only pay-per-view, if I remember correctly, I believe so. It was the only pay-per-view ever done in the ECW arena. The fans were going crazy. The mic didn't quite work the way it was supposed to, but as was a lot to this pay-per-view, when things went bad, it was kind of okay because it sounded like the fans were so loud the mic wasn't working. So it kind of worked. At that point, he was welcoming us. The Dudley Boyz came out. The Dudley Boyz at this point were not the #1 tag team in ECW. They were accompanied by Joel Gertner. For the first time, we got to see Bubba Ray and Devon in all their glory in a way that they were so hated, and we got to see for the first time Joel Gertner. And when we came back after the intro, which the intro made the stuff that people complain about Ring of Honor look so much better. It was so, the ECW stuff, the production values were so bad, it's not even funny. But this, when they came back, we got our first taste of Joel Gertner, and right then and there, it was like, okay, this is something totally different than anything we've ever seen. After that, the Eliminators, John Cronus, Perry Saturn came out. They were the tag team in ECW. So much for, this will sound very strange, they were the team back then in 97 that people were talking about would be the next Road Warriors, that they were going to change the spectrum of wrestling the same way that the Road Warriors did. What we got was basically a spot fest to put over the Eliminators, which they did. The Eliminators were a little more athletic. They did, you know, more lucha libre type moves. If you'd never seen it before, it was pretty incredible. This is the one match on here I would say that doesn't age very well, but it's still an okay match. I'd still give it 2.5 stars, but it's just not a match that aged very well. And it's definitely, if you've never seen early Dudleys, if you've never seen the Eliminators, it's something to definitely check out. From there, we went to Lance Storm versus what was supposed to be Chris Candido. It wound up being Rov Van Dam. Rov Van Dam came out, was not happy about the fact that he was basically replacing Chris Candido, which was part of the storyline. They came out, did a pretty good match, not a great match, not what you would expect out of these two, but still a good, solid match. I'd give it three stars. Lance Storm was not quite in his element and was kind of out of his skin, which would often happen, but definitely something to check out. Next, we had the Michinoku Pro 6-man match. This match was everything that the Dragon Gate 6-man that would happen in Ring of Honor was back in the day. You watched this, you went, my God, what did I just see? This was the first time, and though WCW had done Japanese-style wrestling, this was the first time you actually got to see Japanese-style wrestling as Japanese-style wrestling progressed like that. You had Joey, who was giving it a lot more respect than a lot of announcers would. This was an amazing match. Just great stuff. At the time, it was off the hook. This match probably hasn't aged all that well, but it's still a solid 4-star match even today. It's something just to watch and just realize the time that this happened at. After that, we got Shane Douglas versus Pitbull 2. This was undoubtedly, I've said this before, the worst match on this pay-per-view. Shane Douglas, who had often been calling out Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels and saying that he felt he was better, should have gotten their spots, proved why he never should have gotten their spots. He went out there with a guy that both of them could have carried to a almost great match, basically fell flat on his face. This match was only saved by the fact that, and I mean, this match was bad. This was a 1.75. This was a 1.5 star match. This match was boring, bad. You just wanted it over. But the angle, which was that Rick Rude was in a mask. He'd been showing up, basically playing mind games with Shane Douglas. And the thing was, if Shane Douglas won this, Rick Rude would have to unmask and show everyone that he was Rick Rude. Well, Shane Douglas won. They came out. This guy came out. Didn't look quite like Shane Douglas. And wound up being Brian Lee. Rick Rude ended up being one of these guys that looked like that were in riot gear, that protecting Shane Douglas. Came out of nowhere, completely saved this segment as part of this. I would add another 1.5 stars just because of that. It was that good. Next we had Sabu versus Taz. This was something that had been building up for a year. So even back then, people said you couldn't do a match like this. You couldn't do a match which would lead up for a year. They both went out there. They were able to, even with their contrast of styles, put on a very, very good match. I would definitely still give this match 3.5 stars. It was that good, that much fun. Just a lot of good stuff between the two of them, spots and all of that. Then we got a 3-way dance between Terry Funk, who had been given his spot by Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, and big Stevie Richards. The winner of this would then take on Raven next, because the whole thing with Raven was the odds were always stacked in Raven's favor. This was ECW hardcore as hardcore. This was good hardcore. This was wow. This had good spots. This had all of that, with Terry Funk coming out on top. So then we got Raven versus Terry Funk, which was just amazing. Just the whole story was Terry Funk was going to get one last shot at glory thanks to Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer came out, helped Terry Funk win the title. Everyone went crazy. The crowd went crazy. Topped off an amazing, magical night. The 3-way I would definitely give 4 stars. The match afterwards I'd probably give 3 stars. It was that good. Check this out, folks. It's awesome. Later.